So the Cleveland Cavaliers finally finished up Summer League, and they may have just played the worst basketball game I've ever seen in my life. And it wasn't just them, it was both them and the Warriors. But that's besides the point. Summer League is not about winning and losing, it's not about the record. It's about finding a few players that could make a surprise impact for the actual team, and I think the Cavs did that. But even outside of that, Brian Windhorst recently spoke and kind of leaked the new direction the Cavs are heading. Koby Altman was just extended long term, and there was a lot to talk about in this video, from what Brian said to the winners and losers in Summer League. But before I do dive into everything real quick, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind, and your support truly means the world. Alright, so I think it's safe to say that the motto for the Cavs in 2026 is championship or bust. They now have all the experience. They've been to the playoffs 3 times in a row and to the second round 2 times in a row. Right now, they are the only healthy team that to me is a real threat at the moment in the Eastern Conference. I know the Knicks are up there, but that's not a team I'm too concerned about. It's now or never, and there's a lot of pressure on the core 4, with the organization committing to them long term, despite the repeated failures in the playoffs and all the rumors of the front office wanting to split them up. Let's take a look at what Brian Windhorst said about the Cavs and what their biggest question is right now.
Very good team, questionable whether they can win 16 playoff games or 12 playoff games. That's really the thing. They are the favorites in the Eastern Conference. I know that you see some sports books that have the Knicks tied with the Cavs, but that's a little bit inflated because the Knicks and the Lakers are never going to have square odds because they're going to, their fan bases are so large, and they set the bets accordingly. So the question of the Cavs is, can they defend well enough when it matters? We know they can score. They have scorers up and down their lineup. Can they defend with their undersized backcourt when it matters? And the Cavs' actions, you know me, actions over words. The Cavs' actions indicate to me that they're worried about that too.
I think the action word spoke the loudest there, because the Cavs did take action. Koby Altman believes that the core 4 can actually get it done, hence why he did not move on from anyone. He kept everything intact. But the biggest action they took to address the small backcourt and how they kept getting exposed defensively in the playoffs was by trading for Lonzo Ball, to have another guard that can facilitate, but also a guy that is a natural defender. Obviously health is the big worry with Ball, but bringing him in nonetheless was a big step towards addressing one of the core issues that has repeatedly been exposed when it matters the most under the bright lights in the playoffs. The Cavs entered second apron territory fully aware of what that meant. They didn't accidentally end up there. They knew the financial implications of extending Mobley and Mitchell and trading for a guy like DeAndre Hunter last season at the deadline. This wasn't done with the idea of just remaining competitive. It was done with the full understanding that this team is now operating under championship or bust expectations. If you're paying that much tax and committing that much money, there's no other way to spin it. They've locked in the core and are pushing their chips into the middle of the table. Now, whether or not they actually win it over the next couple of years is another story. If they don't, you can expect a reset or rebuild type of thing. Windhorst even said it directly. This team will have to retrofit the roster if the results don't match the investment, and that obviously puts a ton of pressure on Altman and this core 4 to deliver, and the leash for certain guys is getting shorter and shorter. One of the biggest talking points right now is Darius Garland, and you all know I have had many things to say about him. Well, Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley feel like the secure centerpieces for this championship window. Garland is in more of a gray area. He's locked in financially, but the question remains, can he consistently show up when it matters? Can he stay healthy? Because if the Cavs fall short again and Garland underwhelms again in the postseason, you have to wonder how long he'll remain a big part of the plan. I think this is probably it for the Garland experiment. This is the final chance, even though he's had good stretches. Another guy whose future could be murky is Jarrett Allen. Well, Altman praised his durability, and he did play all 82 games in the regular season, which was impressive, but there's a difference between being durable and being tough. That was a subtle but telling quote. Allen's rebounding and rim protection are solid, but again, in today's league, you need more versatility at the 5 if you want to make a deep run, and in the playoffs, we've seen how teams can scheme him off the floor. If there's one position the Cavs could look to upgrade quietly, it's probably center, especially backup center. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, Evan Mobley continues to solidify himself as the franchise's most important long-term piece. We already know what he brings defensively. He's arguably the best help defender in the entire league, and his Defensive Player of the Year award proves that. But what's even more encouraging is that he shot 37% from 3 last season, which was a huge stride forward, and hopefully he can get to 40. If he can get to 40, that's going to tell us that he really is one of those guys that could potentially be an MVP type of player in the near future. So all in all, from a cap standpoint, the Cavs are all in. They knew going after Hunter, re-signing Mobley and Mitchell, and keeping the core intact would put them deep into the second apron that restricts trades, limits exceptions, and tightens flexibility, but it also signals belief. Dan Gilbert and Koby Altman made it clear they believe in this group, and with that belief comes accountability. There are no more excuses for not getting out of the second round. Summer League also offered some interesting developments. While the final game was a disaster, the team did show a few potential contributors. Tomlin showed flashes, though he still looks like a depth piece at best, more than a rotation lock. This roster isn't going to find its difference makers in Vegas. What the Cavs did in Summer League was more about confirming the guys who aren't ready than it was about uncovering hidden gems. And that's fine though, because this is kind of a veteran team now, but they'll need to shore up their bench, especially at the back end of the rotation, and especially a backup center, as I've talked about a million times, where they still lack a reliable option behind Allen, which is just sad because it's been way too long to still not have that figured out. But nonetheless, we are in the thick of the offseason, so because of that, there is not that much going on. So I want to talk about the winners and losers of Summer League now that it's officially all said and done. I actually thought the game before this was the last one, but I haven't been paying deep attention to the scheduling and logistics. I've just kind of been going with the flow and watching when I can. Alright, so starting with the winners, the first one is the most obvious, and that is Naquan Tomlin. Tomlin was arguably the Cavs' best player in Vegas. It's still hard to believe that this is a guy who has only been playing basketball for 4 years, and then to see him produce at such a high level. In 4 games, Tomlin averaged 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists on 58% shooting and 41% from 3-point range. In his final game against the Kings, he had 10 offensive rebounds and 2 defensive rebounds. You don't often see ratios like that when it comes to rebounding. That stat alone demonstrates how relentless Tomlin is when he's in the game and how high his motor is as well. Tomlin will be on another 2-way deal with the Cavs this season, and after a strong summer league, he has landed on Cleveland's radar when it comes to an actual roster spot. The Cavs have one left, and if Tomlin can put together another strong G League season, he will probably find himself with a permanent spot in the NBA, and I think it's about time because he's definitely earned it. The next winner was Jalen Tyson. With Craig Porter Jr. suffering a hamstring injury in the first game, Tyson took on primary ball handling duties for the Cavs, and he did not disappoint. He averaged about 7 assists per game to go along with 20 points, and he looked more comfortable when it came to creating his own shot and for others. He did average 4 turnovers per game, which that needs to be cleaned up. That's not what you want to see, and it was kind of a concern that I expressed in my last video, but it was encouraging to see that he looked improved on the offensive end and that his hard work is starting to pay off. The final winner is one guy that I am super excited to talk about because he went to Cleveland State, and that is Tristan Enaruna. The Cavs currently have one 2-way spot left. Multiple guys on the roster are obviously competing for that designation, and Cleveland does need to continue to develop their wings to complement their core 4. Enaruna has all the tools to be a great wing piece, and the strong summer league showing that he just had may get him that coveted 2-way spot. Now, for the loser, I have to go with Craig Porter Jr. because unfortunately, his summer league lasted only 7 minutes as he suffered a hamstring injury, and he wasn't able to suit up for the rest of the games. Porter did have 7 points in those minutes and nailed a 3, but definitely not the summer league that he wanted to have. That's really all I got for this video though. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and also let me know what you thought and what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.